So hello and many blessings to you out there. I thought I'd continue on this video journey with you and just touch on a few things that have been coming up with questions with people around me, just asking about what they can do physically to help support them in their journey of awakening into becoming more and more conscious. What are those physical pieces, the out there things that we can address? So some of this that I'm going to address, what I'm going to go into in answering this question more from a consuming part. A lot of this you may already know, but it's just going through detail to detail or point by point some of the major things that keep us from really aligning awakening, that kind of make it a little bit more difficult. It doesn't keep us from doing it, it just makes it a little bit more challenging. And the more that we consume certain things in our lives and make that as part of our life, the more challenging it can become to actually shifting gears and waking up. So number one, addressing all these chemicals in our food, in our diet. So anything that's not natural, and I don't mean natural when it says on the label that it says natural flavoring or natural food, that's already saying that it's not natural. I'm speaking of the closer it is to the earth, the more natural that it's from its origins, where it's not inundated with chemicals, from fertilizers to all these different pesticides, etc. The closer it is to biodynamic or organic, the better off you're going to be. And the more foods that you eat that are not in a package. So if you're eating stuff that says organic but it's wrapped in a package, it's already going to be subpar. So basically when you get out of your fruits and vegetables and you get out of that arena where it's already a whole natural food in its original source, it's further and further away from its origins, from its wholeness, from its goodness for you. So you stay the hell away from things like NutraSweet. You stay away from these things like salt that is already the regular table salt on most restaurants and most homes. It's already gone through so many processes. The white sugar that's in most sweets, anything that you see in your Safeway, your Vons, your Ralphs, pretty much, unless it's organic, is through all of those aisles, is pretty much a form of toxin and poison to the body. So we want to stay away from NutraSweet. It's a neurotoxin. Fluoride, which is in most toothpaste, even though the dentists say it's good for you. Fluoride is fluoride, and then what's in the natural toothpaste in many of them is SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. You want to stay away from both of those. Fluoride and sodium lauryl sulfate blows out the parotid glands, which is the first level of digestion in the body. So if you're having challenges digesting, you're not going 3 times a day or after every meal, your digestion's not in harmony. So fluoride is a big piece. I just was watching a friend's video specifically on fluoride, and she was touching on how it addresses and hits into contracting the third eye and how it's a neurotoxin in itself. The piece that kind of woke me up to fluoride is when I heard that it was first being used in Nazi Germany as a way to subjugate the people, to subdue them into kind of more of a automatic state where they were easier to be brainwashed into believing whatever was put in front of them, whatever was advertised, etc. So fluoride is a no-no. I've even read many studies showing that fluoride, especially in children, actually decays the teeth rather than makes them better for you. So fluoride is not the highest choice for our health. So we don't, and we'll say, well, maybe fluoride isn't that big of a deal because I'm not swallowing it. You're putting it in your mouth. So if you've ever used any naturopathic, you're putting that into your mouth, and your tongue, your parotid glands, everything is already absorbing that. So it's going deep into the system, and it's actually hitting more at a naturopathic level, which is the energy of it. You're absorbing the energy of it. And that energy of fluoride is something that is a awakening dampener. We want to be... open ourselves to foods and a lifestyle that is an awakening opener, that is an enlivening. So out with NutraSweet, out with all the chemicals, out with all the toxins, out with all the fertilizers that you go onto your onto the grass, onto the lawns. It's got to be natural. It's got to be more and more towards organic. I forget some of the names of some of these things that are the weed killers, but if it's not a natural, when I'm speaking natural again, and this is from a statement of something that would be considered organic or biodynamic, it's all those weed killers out there are causing major problems in our health and our ability to fully align into center, into balance and health and harmony in our center of our body and our soul, in our beingness. So be aware of all of these things, even though that they're out there, they're on your grass and you're not eating it. The fumes of that rolling in it, your skin is your greatest absorber in your body, so it's taking in 70% of what's going into your bodies through the skin. So we're absorbing through the skin all of this stuff outside, so the pollution, etc. Some things we don't have the ability to overcome in our certain circumstances, but we take steps as much as we can. So shift what you're putting on your lawn, shift the weed killers. There's natural weed killers out there that are okay for our bodies, at least in not consuming, but at least putting onto the grass. So once you get through all of these chemical things, so all of these chemicals, the more something is away from its natural state, you already know that we're moving away from it being healthy and harmonious for our natural state. That leads to GMO. So all genetically modified foods, out the door. Get them out, let them go. Do not empower them, do not consume them. In tests that I've worked with many clients and docs, it comes back 100% of the time that genetically modified food is poison to the body. It's absolute poison. So if we're taking in poisons, that's dampening down our ability to have a vibrational body that is opening to the light, that is opening to where the energy can be going, rather than should be going. The energy can be going towards our meditation, towards our consciousness, towards awakening. Rather than a lot of our energy when we're taking in GMO foods is how to thwart this out of the body. How quickly can we get it out of the body? So all GMO foods out. That includes really going through any grocery store, even Whole Foods. A lot of these foods are genetically modified, and they're non-organic, which means you're getting tons of chemicals, tons of toxins. Even the organic foods, the more ides that you see in it, natural flavoring, natural coloring, all of these catchphrases that make it sound healthy are actually greater and greater toxins that are just storing up in the body, polluting the mind, polluting the organs. This is all pieces that are keeping us a little bit more challenged in our day-to-day. So this goes also to all the things that you put, the cleansers that you put on in your bathtub, on your the polish you put on tables, the cleaner that you put on countertops. All of these unnatural, anything that you're buying out of a hardware store, out of a regular grocery store, all of these are going to be unnatural products. They're going to be highly toxic. So there's forms of products to be able to use that are much more in alignment, that are not going to be toxic to the brain, neurotoxins. For instance, like any bug killers, any sprays that you're spraying to kill bugs is another neurotoxin. How is it killing the bug? It's actually going into the neurosystem of that bug and killing it from the neurosystem, which is then affecting you the same way. It just may not be killing you, but it's killing you slowly. And it's actually creating, killing off more brain cells, killing off your nervous system to be able to function perfectly, which is also one of the core pieces that we need for aligning and harmonizing for ascension. So that goes into all the chemicals, so all of these things that are just so disharmonious for the body, for the field, that are chemically driven. Now going into a lot of the things that we also consume that are not beneficial for aligning into presence, aligning into the present moment. Drugs and alcohol. This includes your wine, this includes your marijuana, this includes all prescription drugs. I know maybe your doctor said this is good for you, but all prescription drugs are part of these drugs. So all of these are also chemicals that are dampening and hampering your balance. These are all ways to mask and hide from the present moment, hide from the truth, hide from the pain and the suffering that we've stuffed down for our entire lifetime. That stuff needs to come out, but it needs to come out in a way that's in harmony and balance, slowly. So what I'm offering here, when I'm saying, I'm not saying to cut out all of these things all one big whammy. What I'm saying is to be aware of starting to minimize these things, start to wean yourself off some of these things to a level where it's no longer a daily consumption, or you're being consumed by it, where you're being owned by it. Marijuana, alcohol, prescription drugs, all of the other slew of these drugs. An occasional dose of this, I'm going to say, is better than an everyday dosage. I'm not going to say one is okay or not okay. It's not for me to say. But what I can say is a regular consumption of any form of drug or alcohol is keeping you a little less clear, a little less complete, relying on something outside of yourself rather than on something that is within you, the light. So once we move from drug and alcohol, then which alcohol is the simplest of sugars, I'm addressing sugar. The worst levels of sugar is going to be that simple white sugar that you're going to see in all of your mainstream cereals, that you're going to see in almost every mainstream food. But I'm going to even take it further, that most sugars, almost all sugars, we would benefit from moving away from using them in our diet. So we start with the simplified sugars, the white sugars, the brown sugar, the stuff that's the mainstream sugars that are the most compromised from the natural source of cane sugar, etc. Then we start to move into the date sugars, the coconut palm sugar, agave, raw honey. All of these are better options, but yet they're still a sugar, and they're still going to be causing challenges to the immune system. They're going to be less and less beneficial when you're taking in higher and higher amounts. A little bit of these on a maybe not even daily basis is okay, but moving less and less, moving towards a diet filled with less sugars. And that means all the sugars all the way across the board, okay? Now sugar is going to be better than NutraSweet, but sugar is low on the list as far as health. Once we address moving from sugar then into the next, it's going to be addressing caffeine. So caffeine's in most of the sodas across the board, a lot of energy drinks, in your, of course, your coffee. Even decaffeinated coffee has caffeine. A lot of, and most of the teas out there, chocolate, all of these are caffeine. So it's not to, again, not to say to eliminate caffeine, but to minimize. So I can tell when I have caffeine, it actually is not affecting just the day that I've had it, but it's the subsequent days. I still notice the effects, that my mind is a little less on center. It's a little bit more difficult for me to be present. So caffeine is another piece. And I'm not going into all of the details. I'm just giving you kind of a laundry list, and what I may do, if this really strikes a chord with many of you, I'll start to go into each individual one, the foods to start to take in to assist in balancing, to take instead of, etc. This is kind of more of the list of foods and consumption of and ways to move in the world that are less than optimal. Once we move from sugar and caffeine, we can go to you can go into gluten and into wheat, into corn. Much more of addressing things. Is your body reacting, responding, allergic to foods? So if you have an allergy to foods, until you heal what the root of that allergy is, it's best to not consume those foods. I do have a video up that is how to muscle test. This gives you a basic way to muscle testing to see if the body is responding well to a food or not well to a food. So this is something to address in your life. Allergies to foods. Often we have a lot of us who are allergic to wheat, to gluten, to corn, and then the whole slew of other foods. I've gone into a lot of foods, but there's a few other things to address here. Two other points that are really important to assisting us in really moving towards embodying a place of health, of harmony, of balance, of presence, of meditation, is the company we keep. So the company we keep. One of the masters that one of my teachers spent time with, and he shared it through his the quote of this master, Dhyan Yogi, is the company we keep is 99% of the path. 90 or 99% of the path, maybe 90% of the path. And I would even take it to 99% of the path. So this is the people that we spend time with, the places that we go to frequent. If we're spending time with criminals and thugs, it's more likely that we're going to be a criminal and a thug. Not judging those words or the people who are that, but if we're around people who are in criminal activities, it's more likely we're going to be involved in criminal activities, or at least be accused of criminal activities. And then that means more likely that we'll be put in front of a judge or sent to jail. Same thing if we're spending, even though we're not drinking, we're spending time in bars, we're around that energy, or we're around the consciousness of people in that energy. So the more time that we spend with people in that vibration, the more likely that our vibration is going to be suppressed and quashed. It's the whole methodology behind Vastu and Feng Shui. The whole idea is that our environment is so powerful that just because we're one being, so over a period of time our environment is going to naturally just weigh us and weigh us down more and more and more, that we'll eventually cave to the power and the pressure of that environment around us. So they use different techniques and prayers and intentions to shift the environment of a room, of a house, etc., of land, so the environment is more supportive for what we choose to embody, that abundance, that light, that joy, that peace. So the same thing with our awakening process. We want to surround ourselves around people, around places, around things, around beings that are going to be more supportive for our awakening. So sitting with people who meditate rather than people who are getting drunk every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, etc. The company we keep is why it's 99% of the journey is not just with the outer company, but it's the inner company. Inner company, the thoughts in our head, the chatter in our mind, the judgments that we make, the guilt that we have. All of these need to be addressed. All of those are companions within us that are fueling and feeding the way that we perceive and move in the world, and can become an obstacle or a limiter to our embodiment of peace, of joy, of presence. This is also inclusive in the music, the movies, the video games, all of these different ways, even the YouTube videos that you watch that are maybe funny and entertaining, but how supportive are they for your embodiment of what we've already been discussing, your embodiment of meditation, of awakening. It's not to say to not go see a movie or never see another violent movie again. Just be conscious of how often you're drawn to that rather than drawn to the movie that is supportive of feeling joyous, happy at the end, inspired to do well for yourself and for the world. How many movies of those are you watching? How many of those YouTube videos are you watching? Same thing with music. AC/DC, still a few great songs that I remember from my past. I don't listen to them. because their energy is so dense, so negative, that it's not supportive for my process of expanding and awakening. I'm mostly playing mantras, and it's not just mantras from any kirtan singer out there, but it's from enlightened beings singing them, from enlightened communities singing them with that highest intention. So it's a process. So it's not to go from, if you're listening to a lot of AC/DC or rap or whatever the music is today, I'm out of the loop of what that is today, but going from that mainstream into a little bit more of a supportive energy, it's one step at a time. Just maybe start to take an inventory of how you're moving with movies, with video games. I'm just going to suggest video games. They're not supportive in any form, and that we can go into why that is in another video, because I'm already at 21 plus minutes. And the final thing would be sex. So for men especially, the release of your semen is, as Muktananda put it, this is one of the greatest shortages we're experiencing in this world, is, he said, save your semen. So the goal, men, in an awakening process is not to ejaculate, it's to keep it in. That doesn't mean stop having sex, but it's inviting a invitation to an adjusting, an awakening in conscious making love, tantric making love, a sharing of love in a whole new avenue. So the goal of sex and orgasm, that is no longer the goal. It's moving in sex in a place of sharing of love and expansion. This is an encapsulation of a lot, but these are many of the bullet points of things in the outer world to start to look at how your relationship is with this today. And rather than having to make so many changes, just start to take an inventory and take notice of what things are beneficial and what things are not. What things might be easy to shift today. So this is an invitation to just start to open your awareness of these things. Start to maybe do some investigation on how they're supportive or not supportive for you. And then send me a note if this is something of interest that you'd like to continue. Let me know. Many blessings.